You're tuned into a QNA Network podcast. Bold voices, real stories, no fluff. It's showtime.
You're listening to the Open Books podcast.
Your next chapter starts now. This podcast is brought to you by QNA Network.
Hey, hi, hello, and welcome back to the Open Books podcast. What if the one story you swore you'd never tell was the one that would set you free? This week, we're diving into the psychological thriller that blends murder, memory, and the haunting weight of family secrets.
If anyone is new here, welcome.
Welcome to the Open Books podcast.
Yes, that's Amber's number one line. Welcome to the Open Books podcast. So we are Amber and Colby. I'm Colby.
And I'm Amber.
We are two former middle school English teachers, which is just really our biggest lore. That
our classrooms were right next to each other, and that's really... Well, we've known each other since high school.
Yeah.
We've been attached to each other by an invisible string.
We always say that.
Always.
The invisible string theory, we're the perfect example of it.
It was actually us.
Yeah, because we knew each other in high school, but you were 2 years ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
But we always just had this pull to each other. We were always I see you, you see me, there's something here. And then, as we got older and got into our careers, we were we need to teach together because you taught at a separate school.
Mm-hmm.
And we're we have to be together.
No, we have to be teachers together.
Yeah, so I literally left this school that I was at to go teach with Amber. I was sorry, I gotta go.
No, literally, just to be besties.
Your principal was okay, cool. She was thanks.
Bye, I guess.
Bye, I guess.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo. So our classrooms were right next to each other. And that's, I think, where our book energy, our book synergy really happened.
Absolutely.
So we started reading books together. Then we started an actual physical in-person
book club. And that was called the Parish Plot Twists.
Yes, because we are from a small parish. Which
so cute. Shout out to our old book club. That was so fun.
That was fun. But the thing was, we would always show up to a restaurant and talk about the book, but we never talked about the book.
We'd have too many margaritas, too many glasses of wine, and
just
then
talk.
We were just talking.
So that's why we're we should have a podcast where we actually talk about the book. We're also both avid podcast listeners, which
Absolutely.
We connected on. So we talked about starting a podcast for probably literally 2 years. We were we're going to do this. It feels right. It feels natural for us. So we did.
Yeah, we were we have nothing to lose, everything to gain. And at the time, we were who cares? Even if it's just the two of us listening back, we're doing it.
It's fun.
And honestly, it's just been this passion-fueled project, and it's led us to this point.
Yeah.
It's been a beautiful ride.
It's been a beautiful ride. It's been so much fun. We've put a lot of hard work and love into it. And I think we're the book. So there's two really big aspects to our podcast that it's taken us a little while to find our niche, but one is obviously books and breaking down books and having book club episodes. And the other is more of a pop culture centered episode where we talk about relevant things happening and also just obviously about our own lives.
Yeah. And we just really just chat. We're chatting.
We're chatting it up. Can I pull you for a chat?
Can I pull you for a chat? Someone said it best. Someone said that listening to us is being on FaceTime with your best friend. And honestly,
that's what it feels like sitting here.
That's what it feels like. So
yeah, that's what it feels like sitting here. We feel we've all said the best compliment Amber and I have ever received was that we compliment one each other. And we hold on to that because we really do feel that way. And but we have the same background. We're literally just the same person. Yeah. And our English, so I like to say this too, because we're kind of qualified to talk about books because we were English teachers for 5 years and it was middle school, but middle school English is no joke. You really have to break down the literary elements, the literary devices, the sensory language, the figurative language. It's brought us so much joy. Now we get to do it about books we want to read and not English textbooks.
Yeah. And all of that leads us to you finding us.
Yes.
We hope that you find that we complement your podcast.
Yeah, your podcast
lineup.
Yeah.
So welcome to our corner.
Yeah.
Of the
Apple
podcast world.
App.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
So we have a really fun episode for y'all today. I say fun because I think this episode is bringing us back to our literal roots, which is perfect for our first episode with a new network because we have a book that just took our world by storm this past week.
Yes. It's all we've talked about back and forth was this dang book.
And how much we've enjoyed it. And we've been literally chomping at the bit to get here and talk about it.
Chomping at the bits.
Chomping at the bits. Oh, well, we are going to talk about Love Island soon too, but not in this episode. Just this episode's our book. So I say,
let's do it.
Let's just get into it. This book
Summary.
was The Ghostwriter by Julie Clark. It was trending. I think it's a book of the month pick as well, right?
It is.
A June or July. And we saw it trending on TikTok and it looked like the perfect little thriller. So we're like, let's just try it. We wanted to we wanted to do something that was trending and popular. So we picked this book up. I did audio.
I did audio too. It was a very good audiobook because usually Colby is the audio girly. I'm a Kindle girly. But I've been trying to figure out what is the recipe for having a baby and still finding the time to read all these books. It's an audiobook. It's plain and simple.
It's the answer. And it still exercises your brain because this is like an argument that I will stand very firm on because some people are like, audiobooks is not reading.
No, it is.
It's so reading. It still exercises your brain in the same way. I feel like I have the right to say this because I've read my entire life physical copies.
Absolutely.
Then in like 2020, I did Kindle. And now I'm on audiobook and I still get that same like rewarding feeling from listening to an audiobook. You're still thinking about the literary tools the author uses, the themes of the book, just because you're not reading on a paper. I'm still getting that same outcome.
The words are up here, baby.
They're up here.
Up here.
They're up here. And the audio, yes, because you can listen to it like while you're at the park with the baby, while you're cleaning the house, like while the baby naps. So it's really the key.
It's a good audiobook too, so highly recommend listening to the book.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you all a summary of The Ghostwriter, whether you've read it or not, just like we said in our last episode with The Tenant. The summary is here for a recap for you. Now, this one is a little bit lengthy, but this book like deserved a really like well thought out.
It needs to be highlighted.
It needs to be highlighted. It deserved a well thought out summary. And if you have not read the book, again, this is just like a little mini audio book in your ear. You get to listen to an interesting story and then hear us break it down.
We love it.
Okay, so this is a summary of The Ghostwriter. It was published June 3rd, 2025, so it's very new. We have multiple narrators and timelines in this novel. We go back and forth between present day and 1975. In the present timeline, we have our main protagonist named Olivia Taylor, although now she goes by Olivia Dumal. She's a ghostwriter who writes memoirs and stories for famous people and celebrities. She's the daughter of an infamous horror novelist named Vincent Taylor, but nobody knows that about her. First, we'll start off with Olivia's present timeline, and then we'll go into the timeline we get from the past, because of course we're going back and forth. If we went back and forth the way the book did, it would just take way too long and get a little too complicated. So we'll start off with Olivia. She's single, she's in her 40s, and she has a career that's falling apart. She was doing well for herself as a ghostwriter, but she ends up getting into some hot water when she makes a comment speaking on a panel that got her canceled after another ghostwriter named John wrote up an article about her that ended up taking off. It caused her to owe a lot of money in legal fees and lose potential book deals, leaving her broke and down on her luck. Olivia does have a pretty stable relationship with her boyfriend named Tom, though, even though he doesn't really know the full truth about who Olivia is. So, Olivia is the daughter of Vincent Taylor. Vincent Taylor was the prime suspect of the death of his two siblings back in 1975. Olivia's mother left her when she was just 4 years old, so it was always just her and her dad, Vince. We find out pretty early in the book that they had a very complicated relationship, as Olivia loved him but held a lot of resentment towards him. He was a distant father, though she did have some loving memories with him throughout her childhood. For example, he was always trying to make things fun for her by having treasure hunts or reading and writing stories with her. The problem was, though, that everyone around Olivia made her life all about her father, who was a #1 prime suspect in a decades-long murder case and also a well-renowned author. As Olivia got older, Vince shipped her off to boarding school, and that's when she decided to never come back. She ended up putting a lot of distance between her and her father in her hometown of Ojai. She changed her name from Olivia Taylor to Olivia Dumal and became a ghostwriter. Now here we are in the present day, and she gets a call from Vincent Taylor's team asking her to be a ghostwriter for his own memoir. Reluctantly, she takes the job since she really needs the money and moves back home to her hometown and back with her father to write the book. When she makes it there, she finds her father has been diagnosed with a severe case of Lewy body dementia and is very unwell. He's losing his memory more and more every day. He has good moments and is still sound of mind some of the time, but he does need full time from a caretaker. Olivia and Vincent start to reconnect as he tells her his story over the rest of the book. He wrote a 30-page manuscript of notes to give her about his past, and he decided he finally wants to tell what happened to his sibling all of those years ago in 1975. The problem is, though, the notes he gives Olivia are gibberish. Despite his deteriorating memory, Olivia must place together the truth, balancing his unreliable memories, buried family trauma, and her own complicated history. So now we're going to go back to the 1975 timeline. That's told to Olivia from both her father and some old home videotapes that were taken by Danny's sister, Poppy, on her Super 8 video camera. The narrative transports readers to the summer of the murders. We see the young Vincent, Danny, and Poppy, who are siblings in their teenage years, and they have a pretty tense family home. Poppy was 14 years old with a bubbly personality and was a budding feminist. Danny was the oldest brother, protective and troubled, and young Vincent was overshadowed and a bit secretive. The lead up to the bloody night is revealed gradually, creating a haunting atmosphere because the two older brothers, Danny and Vincent, begin fighting a lot. They get super physical with each other, and their younger sister Poppy tries to piece together the puzzle of what's going on between them by being sneaky and making her home videos, which in the end reveal big secrets. What she finds out through her investigation is Vincent and his girlfriend Olivia, his girlfriend Lydia, who's Olivia's mother that left when she was a child, are having serious relationship problems. Lydia is gradually losing weight and she looks like she's deteriorating a lot. Vincent always seems to be fussing at her all the time because she spends a lot of time with her school coach named Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stewart is the kind of teacher that all students flock to because he was relaxed and cool in nature and even throws these like huge end of the year parties for the kids. She's rumored to have been pregnant by Mr. Stewart, who takes her to the abortion clinic to get an abortion. And when Vince finds this out, he loses his mind, becoming really depressed and angry at everyone around him, taking it out especially on his younger sister, Poppy. Poppy has a fresh perspective for the world in the 70s. She's so excited to be part of a female revolution and fight for more equal rights for women, even though the people around her, like her mom and her dad, never take her serious about it. When coming back from a rally one day, she hitches a ride home with a strange man who many people believe is the one who killed her and Danny, though that's not the truth. Poppy uncovers much more sinister secrets lying right under her nose, and that's what leads to her death. She finds out that Mr. Stewart was actually sexually abusing Danny, and she happens upon them in the woods where he gets video proof of this, and Danny completely lashes out at Poppy, chasing her down, physically hurting her, demanding he gets rid of the footage. Around the same time in the book, Vince finally confronts Lydia about her secret abortion and finds out that his brother Danny was actually the person who got her pregnant, not the rumored Mr. Stewart. It turns out Danny actually took advantage of Lydia, and that's why she was so distant to Vince. She knew the truth would destroy him, that her brother did this to her. His brother did that to her. So the tensions between the siblings are seriously rising, while their parents remain clueless as their father isn't really around and the mother drowns herself in wine every night. Everything comes to a head that fateful night of the murders, and readers finally get the true story, which is this. At the end of the year party at Mr. Stewart's house, Poppy gets a little tipsy off a beer and confronts Mr. Stewart, warning him that she knows what he's been doing to her brother. Poppy goes home, and Mr. Stewart comes over shortly after and kills her, stabbing her with a knife. Danny walks in after this, sees Poppy dying on the ground, though he doesn't know who killed her. He's crying and saying he's sorry for how he's hurt her in the past, when the last brother, Vince, walks into the same scene, and Vince and Danny begin violently fighting. When Lydia then walks in and takes the knife to stab Danny, protecting Vince. So Vince and Lydia take this secret to their grave. They hold onto it for over 40 years, and now their daughter, Olivia, is the only person alive who knows what really happened. The novel ends with Olivia writing a best-selling memoir about her father's life in her childhood and unveiling Mr. Stewart as a killer of Danny and Poppy and exposing him for his crimes against children. Olivia is able to pay off her debt, and her father dies of Lewy body dementia, but she's happy she got to reconnect with him and begin to understand him a little more. The novel builds dirty red herrings and plot twists until its dramatic conclusion. Olivia uncovers long-buried secrets that neither the legend of her father nor Vincent's unreliable memory could fully hide. The reveal forces her to reckon not only with what happened that night in 1975, but what it also meant for her identity, career, and her relationship with her father. And that's it. Whew. That one took me a long time to write last night.
That was really good. That was really thorough. I think that's helpful if people didn't read the book. And it was a good refresher for me. And I literally finished the book a day ago.
2 days ago. Yeah.
2 days ago. And I'm like, oh yeah, all that happened.
It was a really intricate plot. Like there was a lot that went into it. And obviously there's things that were missed or not in the summary. Like we always say, we can't fit it all. But you need to know those things in order to have like a really well-rounded discussion about it.
So let's talk about Vincent.
Okay.
Do you think he genuinely wanted to confess and like clear the air with Olivia? Or was he once again trying to control the narrative one last time before the disease kind of like took over completely?
I never thought about that. I guess upon first reading it, I knew that there was a little more to Vince. Like I knew that he had a reason for being so distant and cold. I still think there's really no excuse to not be the best father you could be. And I think he could have done a lot better job. But to think that he only did this to like get his side of the story out, I don't know. I think that he did want Olivia to know the truth in the end, and he wanted his daughter to have peace, I think.
I agree.
You do?
I said the same thing. Yeah. I just think, and I think two truths can exist too, right? Like maybe he did want to clear the air, but I want to believe like the father of it all
Me too.
wanted Olivia to know the truth
Yeah.
and to be at peace before he couldn't tell her anymore.
Right. And I get why he held on to it for so long. In the end, it was all to protect her mother.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll talk about the mom of it all too.
We will talk about the mom.
Okay.
Involved. Justice for Vincent.
Literally justice. J for J.
J for J.
Justice for Vincent. No, J,
J
for
for
V.
V.
Justice for Vincent.
Olivia's career as a ghostwriter impacts the way she sees her own family. So I guess we can kind of unpack that. Like, how does Olivia's career as a ghostwriter impact how she sees her family?
Well, the fact that she's a ghostwriter is just like full circle because her father was a famous horror novelist.
Right.
So I guess she, like, it was in her genetics to be a writer or a storyteller of some kind. And I think it was really interesting that she chose to tell other people's stories. I think it's because, honestly, I thought a lot about this. Like, why did she become a ghostwriter and not an author? But I think she wanted to control a story. And so she can tell someone else's story in her own words and put the pieces together. I think it gave her a little bit sense of control in her life because she didn't have the truth to her own story.
That's what I thought too. Because I feel like she kind of like used that as a crutch not face, I think, what she knew for so long was going on in her family.
I completely
So she
agree.
could hide behind being the ghostwriter, you know, like Twitter fingers, you know,
Twitter
like you could hide
fingers.
behind that keyboard warrior, you know, that's,
And-
I feel like how that was for her, like facing the demons in her family is how I
completely
took
agree.
that.
That's how I took it too. And she does pretty much outright say that a lot because she talks about how other ghostwriters, which this book was really interesting to me to learn about ghostwriters. I've always known that they existed, but I've never really like thought much of it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like a whole career or people, the whole group of people who have careers as ghostwriters. And it makes you think, who
Frida.
else? Who else is getting, which one of y'all are getting a ghostwriter to write your book? You too. So I thought a lot about like, wow, who else has their name on a book as if they are the writer, but they really weren't.
I'm sure it's a lot.
I'm sure it's a lot.
Because like, I think we talked about this before, like there's teams.
Of people who help you write a book. Yeah. But she even said like she has the option to not have her name at all in the book, or she can just have it like thrown in the credits. And a lot of times she's like, I don't even want my name in there.
Yeah.
But her little counterpart, her little enemy, John, he wanted his name on a book, like written, co-written.
Dirty John.
He was literally
Dirty John.
But I think she used her like career as a ghostwriter absolutely as a crutch.
Did you find that when she was Olivia Taylor, she used her voice more?
Oh, good question.
Like her personal voice, like she finally stood up for like what was right type of
Yeah.
thing? I think so too.
I think she did too. Once she accepted her real identity.
Yes.
And wasn't it like she was very ashamed of her identity.
Which makes sense though.
Yeah. Her father was literally rumored to murder both of his siblings.
Yeah.
Then he like didn't want anything to do with her. That was really sad in the beginning of the book.
Okay, well then neither did her mom.
Yeah, we need to talk about the mom.
Lydia.
Like, why did she have
WTH, what the hell are you doing?
that? I don't feel like, unless I missed this, I wanted to ask you because by the end of it, I still felt like, but why did Lydia have to leave?
Maybe it was like shame and guilt.
It was
Like
too
she
much.
really couldn't.
It was too much for her to that knowing that she was the one who actually committed one of the murders. But it's like, well, you have a daughter now, though. Like, you can't just leave. But she did.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's just because I don't think they really ever unpack that in the book.
Okay, they didn't. I
I
was
don't think
wondering if
so.
I missed it because I was like, I still don't really have a clear answer on why
Someone
her
will
mom
let us
left.
know though.
Someone, a keyboard warrior is going to be like, actually,
1 star because
1 star because you missed this one minor detail.
love you guys.
Yeah.
So did you predict any of the twists?
Honestly, okay, wait. I predicted one because I texted you one. Do you
Which
remember
one was
which
it?
one? That Danny sexually assaulted Lydia and got her pregnant.
Yeah.
I predicted that one.
That was good.
I predicted that Danny was going to be the father of Lydia's child.
Yes.
But everything else, no, I really didn't. Mr. Stewart was given like freak, but I didn't know.
Where did you come from? He was giving freak. Like,
Yeah.
you're a little too, like, stop trying to be the cool teacher.
No,
We don't
parties.
condone the cool teacher.
We don't condone the cool teacher who throws parties for like middle schoolers and high schoolers at their house with beer and alcohol.
No, I was
That's
getting like bonfire vibes.
me too.
Like back when we would have the bonfires and
Yeah,
stuff.
and you would get like beer when you're like 12.
Yeah, you're like doing keg stands at 12 years old.
Yeah, that's what it was. No, and they said that in the book. He was like, yeah, he would keep beer in his back fridge. He knew we came and got it, but he did it on purpose. Like, that feels illegal.
It was given red flags.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I'm like, He has nothing to do with this.
Yeah, I don't know
What
how.
is wrong with me? How many thrillers have we read? And I'm like, not Mr. Stewart.
But we didn't suspect like the freak teacher who was being very inappropriate and brought Lydia
Throwing
to her
ragers.
abortion. Yeah.
Right.
Literally, he was throwing like raves in the backyard.
Yeah.
We're like, surely it's not him though.
He's fine.
I don't know how we missed that, but I did predict like all the tensions that rose between Danny and Vince, the two brothers, and Lydia. I was like, I thought Lydia was cheating on Vince with his brother.
Yes. And I think I texted you that I thought Danny killed Poppy
Okay.
because she knew about Lydia of it all and had it on her camera, her reel,
Yeah.
which
Her little Super 8.
her Super 8, so cute. And then I thought Vincent killed Danny because he saw what he did to Poppy.
Yeah. I'm like, that's not far off.
It's not far off, but it was. Like, that's
Yeah.
not what happened.
In the
It's
end-
not even close to what happened. Like,
Mr. Stewart was the culprit.
and like J for V.
J for V, Justin for Vince. Honestly.
Yeah, like he was fine.
Yeah.
But he lived with that. Like, he was actually,
He was tortured.
he was.
He was the definition of a tortured poet. Truly. Like, I think he just also
okay,
hid.
Colby.
It was very literary. He also hid behind his career. I think like he was just so traumatized, and that last chapter of the book really got me. But I'm sure we'll get to the last chapter of the book. But when he mentioned seeing his family before everything happened.
Go into it.
Okay. So, because I don't think I mentioned this in the summary, but the last chapter of the book, Vince mentions a scene, and I'm assuming, I think we're led to believe that the scene was before Mr. Stewart was in the picture and before Mr. Stewart did what he did to Danny, which I think was the catalyst of all these terrible events. But it's right when Poppy gets her camera and he's admiring his family. His mom and his dad are dancing together in a field. Danny's in the field. Poppy is spinning around and she's like, come spin with me. And he mentions that he had a conversation with a teacher who told him that he was a great author and a great writer. And she says, I see this in your future. And it all kind of just like shows that, I don't know, everything always, it's like laid out for you. It was laid out for him what was going to happen in that moment. And he just didn't know.
And that was his last memory before he passed, right?
Yeah, it was. I think that's the last thing we got from him before he died in the book. That was a beautiful way to end the book.
I know, because you think about like that's the way he passed, but in Poppy's memory, I don't know why this significant scene like stuck with me from the book is when she's laying on the bed and she's reflecting like her and Margot in elementary school.
When she's like dying and she's
she's like
her life is flashing before her eyes.
And she's like looking at her bedroom walls and she's like, the paint swatches are still here from when me and Margot were repainting my room and we decided on, I can't remember the name, but it was just like sherbet. I don't know.
It was just girly
Something- It was just
things.
like these little, like you can tell it embodied like how young she was.
Yeah.
Like the difference between Vincent reflecting on his life and like Poppy reflecting. Like she knew she was dying.
Yeah.
And like
she was like forever 14.
forever 14.
She was the best character.
I loved her so much.
Yeah.
I thought every single character was so well developed. This book reminded me of The Troop. I don't know if you were going to land on that or if
for
it
sure.
brought you there, but I felt like the characters were so well developed. The plot was still there. The thriller was still there.
Yeah. And that's how we felt about The Troop. That's why I really like mean this when I say it's our type of book.
It is.
It had every aspect of a thriller that we're looking for.
It's that male narrator.
You're right. Because that's what The Troop was too.
Yes.
You just really get to know the character. We got to know the character so well. Poppy was she really was so vibrant. And also speaking of how she was forever 14, Vince, I think towards the end was explaining to Olivia why he was so distant and why he shipped her away to boarding school was because she reminded him right at that age she was getting too much like his sister who died.
He couldn't face it.
So he sent her away. Which it was just very tragic. Honestly, now that we're talking about it, I'm like, it's a tragic book, but it was so well written.
I'm like, it was beautifully written, even though like the content was so...
It was heavy. But it was real.
It was real. Good book. Highly recommend that book.
Yes.
Okay. If you were Olivia, would you have taken the ghostwriting job?
Yes. I would need to know.
100%.
You're telling me you're going to let me write your story of this decades-long murder? I don't know if she knew that she was going to get answers to the murder, but I think she had to assume that was going to come out of a memoir about her father's life. So I absolutely would have taken the job.
I would have taken the job too. Just for simply like the writing of it all. Like I just think that would be so fun. Like I think being a ghostwriter would be such a fun job.
Also
And she was getting paid.
she was getting paid. I wonder, she seemed like she was getting paid a fat check too, because that
run me my money.
Just give me my money. Just give me my money. That was literally Olivia.
That was Olivia in the corner.
The dad was like, well, I know you need this job. She was like, shut up. She didn't want to hear that.
Actually, you shut your filthy mouth.
Yeah, filthy. But I think also this made me have respect for ghostwriters, because she was given like not much to work with. She gets there. He's like, write my book. It was like a 30-page of like gibberish. And he also told her you can't speak to anyone who was involved. You can't go do like what she said a lot of ghostwriters do, which is more like journalist work, where you go and speak to other people who are around to try to piece together the pieces. And he told her no. So she really had to work for that book.
Which makes me kind of like retract my previous statement that I think he wanted to clear the air.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Because why are you making it complicated? He's like, I'm going to tell you this story.
What's going on?
But you can talk to no one. You cannot corroborate anything.
Okay. Made me giggle. Poppy's reels were haunting and poetic. We were on the same page with
Tortured poet.
Shut your tortured poet. If she had an Instagram today, what do you think her aesthetic would be?
Oh my gosh. She would be like such an Instagram diva. She was the influencer before influencers were a thing, except her vibe was true crime. Like, she wanted to crack the code. I think first of all, she was such like a budding feminist, so cute. She had so much like, I don't know, enthusiasm for like the future of women, which was just really sad because she never got to see anything happen. But I think she would be very much like
J for P.
Yeah, J for P, justice for Poppy. I think she would be wearing floral outfits. I think she would be like, she would have went to Woodstock 99 for sure. That's a little dark. Like she would have like loved Instagram. I think the tactic though of having her video things and like having her old videotapes from the 70s be found was genius as far as like a writing tactic and like a way to develop the plot was so smart.
So smart.
It really like took you back to the 70s. Like I felt like I was in the 70s seeing it from Poppy's eyes.
Yes. I also think, just to kind of like add on to what you're saying, she's the girl with like the really cool vibey like photo dumps. Like the carousel is like,
yep.
I don't know, like Lana Del Rey vibe.
Lana Del Rey vibes. Totally. She leaves an emoji as the caption. Like that's all she needs. It's a cloud. A cloud emoji. Yeah. She was so cool.
She's got like a cool New Orleans like coffee shop.
Yep.
And then there's like the swamp in the next one.
Yeah. She's just like, you can't predict it, but she doesn't care. She cares about nothing. She doesn't care about aesthetics. She cares about being real. She really does. Also,
mic drop.
That's it.
Period. Done.
But she was so sweet. Like, she was honestly the biggest victim of the whole book because she cared so much about both of her brothers. She really just wanted them to stop fighting.
She just like cared about people in general.
She really did. And she wasn't ashamed of that. And like, it got her killed in the end. It's really sad.
Stewart.
Mr. Stewart. Little nasty. He was nasty.
Wait. Drake and Josh.
Megan.
Mr.
Stewart.
Wait, I almost said Miranda. That's her real name.
No, it was Miranda Cosgrove. Megan.
Okay.
Is that all of our questions?
What? So like put a bow on it, stamp it. How many stars are you giving it? What's your thoughts?
All right, I'm giving this book 5 stars. No questions asked. Like
5 out of 5.
5, boom,
5 in your face.
Like this is like the SpongeBob emoji with hearts. Like me finishing this book, I was like, I loved it.
No, we needed more. I don't know what that more was. I don't know what I was looking for.
That would be my only, like, honestly, qualm with the book was that I wanted more. But it was an 8-hour audiobook. Like, she gave us what she could give us. But, like,
Julie Clark was working overtime.
She was working overtime. So, okay, a couple things I want to say to wrap up the book. First, I have 2 quotes that really stuck with me. But also, I listened to the author, Julie Clark, on a podcast yesterday when I finished the book because I just needed, I needed to hear her thought process. A lot of times, I like to stray away from authors because it kind of really, takes me out of the experience because I'm like, oh, this was a fictional story. None of these people are real. That freaks me out. I like to believe it's all real, like when we're reading stories.
Yeah.
So listening to the author kind of, pulls me back out of that. But I was so intrigued by her storytelling, I wanted to hear her out. So listen to her on a podcast, and she really just talks about her thought process. She said that this book was so meaningful. She took her time. It took her 3 years to write.
Wow.
Yeah. She said, I didn't rush it. Every character was very important to me. She always knew how it was going to end. But she kind of let the story come to her. And I thought that was,
I love that.
I like hearing how authors minds work, because that sounds right in this book to me would feel impossible. Like, it was so intricate.
It was intricate.
So props to authors. The other two things, there was 2 lines that really stuck with me, because there was 2 like really big overarching themes in the book that I really appreciated. Because a lot of times, like a Frida book, there's not really like this huge revelation or theme. It's just fun.
It's a good, fast read.
And that's always a joy.
Yeah, and you just pick up her next book because, duh.
It's literally like eating popcorn. You just keep coming, coming.
Keep giving me those books.
But this type of book, like this and The Troop by Nick Cutter, which we did an episode on that one, Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell.
So good.
The ones that have these really intricate plots, the character development is there. You get to know the characters. I think you see yourself in the book in some way.
Darling Girls was another
one that you really like can put yourself in one of the character shoes, and that's what makes reading like so special. Is you feel connected to a story in some way. It makes you think of your past, your present, gives you hope, whatever. So there were 2 lines that made me feel that way. The first one was about Olivia and her father. So this book was heavy on daddy issues. Okay. As a person with daddy issues, that really got to me. And that's what made it special. It was like, you can connect to these people. So this is something she said. Loving my father was a complicated algorithm, and it meant accepting things about him that I would never understand. And I was like, yeah, that encapsulates what I'm sure a lot of people feel, to have a complicated relationship with a parent. It's this complicated algorithm. I love that term, a complicated algorithm, because it's not a straight line. It's ever. And it's always twisting and turning, and it's a complicated algorithm. And it means it takes a lot of acceptance to be okay with that and to love people where they are. And I think that's where she got at the end. I think she loved her dad exactly where he was. Yep. Now, there was another line from... This was Vince, Poppy and Danny's father. So he said, when Poppy was born, she was beauty, grace, and light, and she continues to be that way all of her beautiful days, which was the name of the memoir. No, I know, it literally is going to make me cry. When I heard that, I was like... So that was the name of the memoir that she ends up writing. I thought it was a beautiful way to conclude the book and show how well the character and the plot were developed, because it was a line that was repeated multiple times. Yeah. And never really knew the true meaning of it until the very end of the book, where, like I said, he's looking at the blue skies and his sister, and she remained that way because she died at 14. She was stumped in that.
Which I love that Julie Clark did that.
Had that line and like knew. Like she probably had that line when she had the end of the book and played back. That's what it sounded like on her episode. Like she knew how it was going to end in Poppy's role. So that line just kind of like was a constant throughout the book. And then it ended with that line. I was like, whoa. Powerful. Yeah.
I land exactly where you land. Like this was for sure a 5-star read for me for all of the reasons that you said. I'm usually like, oh, it's a 3, it's a 4. It takes a lot for me to give a 5-star rating on a book.
Yeah.
Like I really believe like The Troop and Darling Girls were probably my last 5-star reads.
Yep. Then She Was Gone.
Yeah.
Evelyn Hugo. Like it takes a lot.
Oh, Evelyn Hugo was... That's just a different category altogether. But I do have our 5-star and 1-star reviews from Goodreads.
I'm curious to hear a 1-star on this book.
Okay. There really weren't many. So I want to say it averages out at like a 4.91
That's
stars.
Huge,
especially for being such a recent release. Like it really, so good. This is a 5-star. The best thriller I've read in months. This one has all the best elements of a whodunit story, but it's less about who actually did it and more about the story getting to that point. I loved it, and the audio was great too.
Yeah, so true. Less about who did it and more about the story.
It's the journey.
It's the journey. And I loved Poppy's voice. Whoever's the narrator of Poppy, it was like beautiful. So cute.
It was perfect. Because like she actually sounded like
a young person.
A young girl, yeah. 1 star. Has this been written by AI? So many inconsistencies. Girl, whoever wrote this review, we want to know.
We got our eyes out there, and some authors, like, sometimes I'm like, this is literally ChatGPT.
Sage and Arya?
Yeah, they wrote
this. So many inconsistencies and illogical behavior from the main character. Whining about her father raising her through an assistant, but no problem with the mother abandoning her altogether being the biggest one. The mystery doesn't exist. The parents of the main character just don't tell her what they know. Really flat, boring for a thriller. Mentioning the few most obvious bands from the 70s isn't enough to make this a believable setting. The ending was a sentimental cringe fest.
Oh my gosh.
And we're like, this is beautiful. This made me feel again.
This book brought me back to life. No, 1-star reviews always crack me up because people get so hard up about.
Yeah.
And there's like, this book sucks ass. Like, I disagree a lot with that. But I mean, that's the beauty of books and like being able to hold an opinion and feel one way. No one's forcing you to like the book. So I thought that was really funny. And the only thing I will agree with is the mom. Like, why? No one questioned the mom.
That kind of was a flop though.
Yeah. It was like, your mom left you when you were 4. You're mad at the dad. She was mad at her mom when she went to see her mom. But I was
Lydia.
like, yeah. Lydia was a loser for that. I'm sorry. But other than that, I disagree. That was a really good book in my opinion.
Our next on the shelf is going to be Don't Let Him In by Miss Lisa Jewell.
We're ready for another
We love Lisa.
We do.
From the #1 New York best-selling author, Lisa Jewell, 3 women are connected by one man in this kaleidoscopic thriller. He's the perfect man and the perfect lie. Nina Swan is intrigued when she received a condolence card from Nick Radcliffe, an old friend of her late husband who is looking to connect after her husband's unexpected death. Nick is a man of substance and good taste. He has a smile that could melt the coldest heart and a knack for putting others at ease. But to Nina's adult daughter, Ash, Nick seems too slick, way too polished, and too good to be true. Without telling her mother, Ash begins digging into Nick's past. What she finds is more than unsettling. Martha is a florist living in a neighboring town with her infant daughter and her devoted husband, Alistair. But lately, Alistair, that's the name we love. It's Alistair. Pardon my French, guys. Tomato. Alistair has been traveling more and more frequently for work, disappearing for days at a time. When Martha questions him about his frequent absences, he always has a legitimate explanation, but Martha can't share the feeling that something isn't right. Nina, Martha, and Ash are on a collision course with a shocking truth that is far darker than anyone could have imagined, and all 3 are about to wish they needed the same warning. Don't let him in, but the past won't stay buried forever.
Sounds literally right up our alley.
Give it to me.
What's up with Alistair? We'll let y'all know. So yes, don't forget to read this one with us.
Yes.
If you are new here, next on the shelf is just the next book that we're choosing. We always like to announce. That way everybody can read along with us. You could send us your thoughts, your comments, your questions, your concerns on the book.
We love it when, you slide in our DMs and tell us your thoughts on a book. If you love it, if you hate it.
Yeah.
We just want to know.
All of our socials are the same. So Instagram is at Open Books Podcast. TikTok is the Open Books Podcast. And now we're going to be on YouTube, which is so exciting. Another major upgrade for us with joining QNA Network is having YouTube videos. A lot of people have told us that. They're like, where's the YouTube girlies? Like,
where's the visuals?
So many people like to watch the visuals. So here you go. You're welcome. Thank you, QNA. So we're happy to be here. Love you guys. Tune in for our next episode. And don't forget to read Don't Let Him In. Is that what it's called?
Let Him In.
By Lisa Jewell.
Don't do it, girl.
Don't do it. Okay, love y'all. Bye.
Love you. Bye.